Hey everyone, and welcome to Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Today we're going to be doing part 3 of this video series, making Woody, from this crochet kit that I got from Amazon. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we are going to continue where we left off. I made a lot of the pieces while making the body, so I'm just going to go back to make the body because I don't think there's anything else that we'll need to sew into the body. I left the body open so that I can do these extras, but I think it's a good time to close and finish the body. So I'm going to put my crochet hook back in here. In a sec. Right, these pieces I'm just going to tuck into the body, and then I'm going to go grab some stuffing, and we are going to stuff really we're going to stuff Woody. Right, if you have not caught the other videos for this character, go and check out either the Amazon playlist or the crocheting playlist. I keep all of my videos in there. And if you don't know, I can't share any of the instructions due to copyright. So if you need to, if you want to make these characters, I highly recommend that you get the kit. I did pin them in my Amazon storefront. If you want to go click on that, it's in the description box. You can check out what the kits they have. Yeah. So what I do on my channel is I teach you how to do new stitches at least 3 times step by step. And then I also help you understand the instructions. We assemble all the pieces together. And then, of course, if there's any anomalies or typos, errors, things to cause confusion, I bring those up too and hopefully try to clarify that. If these videos don't help you, I would recommend trying their videos. They do have, I think there's either a QR code or a link in the booklet. And, you know, because everybody has their own learning style, so definitely check them out as well. Alright, so where we left off is finishing rounds 24 through 26, and then we have to stuff the body, which I just did, and then we're stuffing as we go. Try not to crochet into the stuffing, because if you pull it out, it's going to be visible and messy, and really hard to put back in. So let's continue with round 1. So let's start something new. Every time we have a video, I will reteach things that I've probably taught in the previous parts, just because everyone needs, you know, probably a refresher and doesn't have to go back to those old videos just to refresh their minds on these stitches and instructions. Alright, so for round 27, we're going to learn to read parentheses. So usually when you see parentheses, and there's 2 parentheses in this round, the first set, you're going to assume that you have to repeat, because followed by is a number with times. So you're going to have to repeat it that number of times. In other examples, you'll see an asterisk with the number. Sometimes you'll see an X and a number. But seeing that there's a number with times after it, that means we're going to repeat this parenthesis. Then further down the instruction, which is not further down, it's short instruction, we have a number with STS, and that stands for the number of stitches that you should have at the very end. So every time we finish a round, I recommend that you count all the stitches in that round to make sure that it matches the number of stitches for that round in the instruction. Very rarely I've come across kits that have a mistake in their stitch count. So far this brand has been pretty good with the stitch count. Alright, okay, so now let's look at the instructions inside the first set of parentheses. So the way I like to break these down, whether it's a parenthesis or not, I like to read the instructions that's before a comma. I separate these into sections, anything before a comma. So for this case, we have an INVDEC, which stands for invisible decreasing stitch. So I'm going to teach you how to do invisible decreasing stitch. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to use the front loop only. So if you look this way, we have front loops here and we have back loops over here. So when I say front loops, you're going to put your hook into the front loop only. So take your hook, come up from underneath here, we're going to split the braid just like that. We're putting it through the front loop only, the back loop stays back there. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Then we're going to go into the next stitch and you're going to come up from underneath. We're going to split that braid, front loop only, and then that back loop stays right there. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. So invisible decreasing stitch is pretty much taking 2 stitches and turning it into 1. Okay, let's do something new. Alright, the next part that we have is an SC, and that stands for a single crochet stitch. So I'm going to show you how to do a single crochet stitch. What you're going to do is go into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over. You're going to pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So we have our single crochet stitch. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to do the invisible decreasing stitch and single crochet stitch at least 2 more times. So let's do an invisible decreasing stitch. Stick your hook into the next stitch. You're going to come up from underneath and you're going to break through that braid right in the middle, through the front loop only, leave the back loop behind there. Then we're going to yarn over, you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to go into the next stitch, you're going to come up from underneath, you're going to split the braid so that it's in the front loop only. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. Right, 2 stitches into 1 stitch. Alright, let's do a single crochet stitch. Stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Alright, so one more time with you guys. Let's do an invisible decreasing stitch. Stick your hook into the next stitch, start from underneath, come up through in between the loops there, through the front loop only. Then we're going to yarn over, you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Then into the next stitch, you're going to come up from underneath, stick your hook in between the braids, coming up through the front loop only. We're going to yarn over, you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops. Then yarn over and we're going to pull through all 3 loops. So we have our invisible decreasing stitch, taking 2 stitches, turning it into 1. Alright, let's do a single crochet stitch one last time. So into the next stitch, put in your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. Alright, so now that I've shown you how to do an invisible decreasing stitch and a single crochet stitch at least 3 times step by step, you can rewind this video as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing these stitches on your own. But I'm going to go ahead and finish round 17. I mean 27. Sorry. Alright, and then once you finish that round, I'm just going to take our stitch marker and I'm going to replace it under the last stitch we made, under the braid, front and back loops. You can pull this to see if you've pierced through the yarn or not. And close this off. Alright, now we're actually going to do the last round for the body. And we've already done these stitches. It's going to be the invisible decreasing stitch. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how to fasten off. Okay, remove the marker. Now it doesn't say it here, but I like doing it because right now the way it looks, it's very choppy. You have this row here and then you have this previous row, so it's like kind of multiple level, if you can catch my drift there. But what I like to do is we're gonna do a new stitch. So I'm going to show you how to do a slip stitch. You're going to go into the next stitch, we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through all the stitches or all the loops off your hook like that, and that is a slip stitch. Now we're going to fasten off. So let's see, it says leave a tail for sewing, but this is what I think. I've already gone and done some of these parts off camera, and you don't really need a tail. So I'm actually going to give myself a little tail so that I can close off the body, because you're going to be left with a hole. So I'm giving myself a little bit of a tail here. Now to fasten off, we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop all the way out. So keep pulling on that hook. So that's all the way out. Then pull this tight like that. And then, like I said, we're going to go and sew this hole together. I could try stuffing this more. I would really like to, but the hole is kind of small, and I normally don't. Maybe I'll get a little bit more actually, because I like my little plushies to have some firmness to it, I'm going to use the back of the other end of my crochet hook to stuff the hole. Then you can gauge for yourself. Right, so then I'm just going to go through the front loops only, weaving this yarn around this circle here. Okay, and once I'm back all the way around, I'm gonna pull the whole thing closed, and then I'm gonna tie my knot. And then I'm gonna go in one end, randomly out the other end. Be careful not to poke yourself. Okay, cut this flush to the body, and then we're going to give it a few squeezes to hide that end. And now we have body of woody. This is not going to stand up right because look, the neck is already like wobbling everywhere. Anyway, okay, we're going to move on to the next steps. Let's see. We can do a lot of things. We can make the bandana, we can do that. I'm just gonna go from the book now. So the next thing that I have to do from the book is the leg. So we'll do that next. Alright, so let's do the leg. Setting Woody aside. We're gonna need the denim, and we're going to learn how to do an adjustable ring. Right, to do an adjustable ring, you're going to take the end of the yarn here and we're going to wrap it 3 times around your finger with a little bit of overage so that we can put our middle finger right on top of the end there. You can take this opportunity to straighten out, tighten or loosen your strands, because we're going to take our crochet hook and slip it underneath the 3 strands. Once here, we are going to pull back the hook and we're going to pull this strand underneath these 2. So hook it, turn the hook to its side, and then slip it underneath these 2 strands here. Then we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull this through the loop. Then you can remove your middle finger and you can remove the rings off your index. So you have something like this. Alright. So now to finish the rest of this round, we're going to do single crochet stitches. So go ahead and do those. Once you have that, I'm going to overhand my hook by taking my hand and putting it over the hook. I'm going to hold this here. So now we're going to close our adjustable ring. You want to hold the stitches down here with your thumb and your index, but you don't want to pinch it too tight. You just want it enough to stabilize your project. The feeder yarn we're going to hold back with our middle finger and then push off to the side. We won't be needing that right now. We're just going to focus on these 2 loops. Now we basically have to close this ring. In order to do that, we have to pull this piece here. Now the thing is that if we pull this all at once, we could get both of these loops to go in the magic ring or the adjustable ring. However, more than likely it's going to start bunching up here and you're going to have a complete mess. So what we're going to do is pull this excess piece very slowly. We're going to watch to see which loop goes in first. So start pulling, and then when you see which one moves, stop pulling. Right, so this one went in first. We're going to pull this end out. So take that loop and pull that end out from here. As we're pulling that out, you're going to see the other loop go in. So I'm pulling that end out, and you can see the other loop going in. Keep pulling until that loop has disappeared into the ring. Now we have this loop left. So now we can take the excess piece, pull this all the way out to see that loop go away. Now there might be a microscopic hole here, so what you want to do is pull in the opposite direction and a little up, like a 45-degree angle, and you're going to feel it budge just a little bit, and that's all you need to pull. You don't have to keep pulling too hard, because now that hole should be completely gone. So I'm going to go now and take a stitch marker, and we're going to pin the last stitch we made right under the braid. Check to see if you split the yarn. If you did split it, just remove it and try again. Okay, so actually we're going to do a bunch of rounds next. So this is going to stand for round 2. We have to go up till 9. Now, just in case you're not good at keeping track things by memory, we're going to use stitch markers. So if this is 2, this will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I always like to count twice. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, I can't remember if they gave you a stitch marker, but you need a bunch of them because you're going to be doing projects that are going to be similar to this where you have to do multiple rows. And this is going to be the easiest and maybe cheapest way to keep track of that. If you need them, I did pin a couple of stores on my Amazon front. You can go to the description box below and check that out. I've not purchased from those stores. I just pinned them because they were a high star rating. You can always go venture off Amazon. You can check a hobby store, either at a store or online for these things. They sell them in packs. Anyway, so for the next rounds, we're pretty much going to do single crochet stitches. So that's plain and simple enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do all of this in silence. So we'll come back once that's used up. Alright, so I finished doing the leg, and now we have to fasten off. So again, we're going to do a slip knot so we can smooth out this row here. So stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through all the loops off your hook, and then we'll fasten off. So because the hole is small, like the body was, I am going to, this time we do need the tail, so I'm going to go around the hole very generously to make sure that I have enough yarn to sew. And then we'll fasten off. So you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop all the way out and pull this tight. Alright, now I have some yarn, stuffing here. Now, like I said, I did the other leg off camera. When you do one leg and you get stuffing for one, make sure you grab a same size or almost the same size amount for the other leg. That way your legs will be even rather than uneven. But because you can't really gauge what the leg looks like and it'll feel after the fact, so it's always good to kind of get that going already. Alright, so I've got that tucked in there. I'm going to set this aside for now because we are going to work on the boot. So we're going to get the light brown out. We're not going to use this. Okay. Alright, so for the boot, we're going to do this a little different. Alright, so let's learn how to cast on with the slip knot. So I'll show you how to do that. We're going to take your ring, pinky, and thumb and hold the very end of the yarn here. Then take your index and middle finger and hold apart the yarn like this. So we're going to keep this tight. We're going to keep this loose. Then take your two fingers and push up and then turn down to create a loop. Then with our middle finger and index finger, I'm going to grab onto this feeder yarn and pull through the loop to make a knot. And all we have to do is tighten the knot. So tighten the knot and try to tighten it close to your thumb. This will eliminate the amount of waste from the yarn. So once you've got that knot pulled, we're going to take our little tail here and pull that out to make your knot nice and snug. You don't have to pull too hard, but see, the closer you go to your thumb, this is the amount of yarn we're going to waste, so that's not too bad. Now we have to make this loop small, so hold on to the knot, take the feeder yarn and pull until that loop is big enough to fit a crochet hook. Alright, slip that onto your hook. Now we're going to work with round one. So let's learn something new. Alright, let's learn how to do a CH or a chain stitch. So you're going to hold the knot right down here. This is going to stabilize your project. Then what we're going to do is yarn over, and we're going to pull this through the loop, and that is a chain. So a chain is made up of 3 loops. You have one here, turn it to its side, and this one is the back hump. Alright, so let's do another one. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop. So now we have 2 loops. we have two chain stitches. A chain stitch is made of 3 loops. We have one here, one on the other side. You turn it on its side, and this one here is the back hump. Let's do one more together. So yarn over, pull through the loop, and now you have 3 chains, and it looks like a braid. Each chain is made of 3 loops. You have one here, turn on its side, and you have the back hump right here. Alright, so now that I've shown you how to do a chain stitch at least 3 times step by step, you can go ahead and rewind this part of the video until you're comfortable doing a chain stitch on your own. I'm going to go ahead and finish the chain stitches for round 1. Alright, so now this is pretty universal. Whenever you have a chain stitch like this, and you're going to be putting a row of stitches on top of it, in this case we're going to be doing single crochet stitches, you have to build the height of the row. So the height of a chain stitch is 1 chain. So we're going to skip this chain here, and we're going to start our single crochet stitch in the second one. And the reason for that is if I were to move this 90 degrees, see how it builds the height of that row. Okay, so whenever, and again, this is universal, you'll see this in all the instructions. It's very rare that you won't, unless they're doing some other stuff. But the height of a single crochet stitch is 1 chain, so we're going to skip the first chain, and then we're going to put our hook into the second chain. And I'm going to put the hook into the back hump because I want to preserve the braiding in the front. So stick your hook into the back hump. Make sure you're not splitting the yarn. And then we're going to do our single crochet stitch. Alright. That is putting a single crochet stitch in the second chain from the hook. Alright, so now we're going to finish the rest of the instructions here. They're basically single crochet stitches. So go ahead and finish the next section. And then I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so now for the next section, it says continue on to the other side. So this bottom side is going to be on the other side. And because we use the back loops only, it still looks like a braid. So it's going to be easier for us to see where to put our hook next. Alright, so once we go to the other side, we're going to do a bunch of single crochet stitches. So let's go and do that. Okay, and I'm going to take a stitch marker and we're going to mark the last stitch we made right under the braid. Check to see if you split the yarn. Alright, so now we're going to do round 2. So now for round 2, I don't think we've done this stitch. We're going to do a new stitch. Alright, so for this stitch that we're going to learn, it's the INC. That's the increasing stitch. We basically are going to take 1 stitch here and we're going to turn it into 2 single crochet stitches in this case. So we're going to go count back the number of stitches required for round 1. Sometimes it's hard to see where you're going to put your stitch next. All right, so put your hook in there, and we're going to do our increasing stitch. Okay. Oh, and I should really show you how to do that, in case you're not sure about the 2 single crochet stitches in 1 stitch. So let's go into that stitch. We're going to do our increasing stitch, which is 2 single crochet stitches in this stitch. So yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Then stick your hook into that same stitch we just used, and we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So we have 2 single crochet stitches coming out from 1 stitch. Alright, so the next parts we have are going to be single crochet stitches. So go ahead and do that. And then we'll have to do some increasing stitches. Alright, so now I'm just going to replace our stitch marker. And we're going to move on to round 3. Alright, so for round 3, we're going to be doing something new. This is BLO, and it stands for back loop only. And we're pretty much going to do single crochet stitches. So I've shown you before that this is the front loop, and this is the back loop. So we're going to be using the back loops only this time. So let's do a single crochet stitch. You're going to go in between the braid. You're going to split it up and only use the back loop for your hook. And we can complete our single crochet stitch as so. Then into the next stitch, split the braid. We're going to put the hook through the back loop only. Continue with our single crochet stitch one more time together. So we're going to stick our hook between the braid, go through the back loop only, and then continue with our single crochet stitch. So here we have the front loops untouched, and normally when you see back loop only, it's so that it automatically folds, and we are making a boot, so that makes sense. But now that I've shown you how to do a back loop only at least 3 times step by step, you can go ahead and repeat this part of the video as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing the back loop only on your own. But I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these stitches. Okay, then I'm going to replace the stitch marker. And then we're going to work on round 4. So for round 4, we have single crochet stitches, invisible decreasing stitches that we've already done, and then back to single crochet stitches. So that's actually going to be for rounds 4, 5, and then 6 is all single crochet stitches. So I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6 in silence, and we'll come back in for round 7 because we're going to be learning something new. Alright, so I finished round 6. Let's do round 7. So besides the parentheses and the sections within them, we're going to learn a new stitch, and that's the double crochet stitch. So go about the beginning of your parenthesis, and then I'm going to show you how to do a double crochet stitch. So yarn over, we're going to yarn over, we're going to put our hook into the next stitch, yarn over again, we're going to pull up a loop, so we have 3 loops on our hook, then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. So let me show you how to do this again. So yarn over into the next stitch, put in your hook, we're going to yarn over, you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, you have 2 loops left, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Okay. So after these double crochet stitches, we're going to go back to single crochet stitches, and we actually have the slip stitch that I've already shown you as well. Alright, so we're going to go through the parentheses again, and when we reach the double crochet stitch, I'm going to show you how to do that one more time. So to do a double crochet stitch, you're going to yarn over, you're going to put in your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So now that I've shown you how to do a double crochet stitch at least 3 times step by step, you can rewind this part of the video as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing a double crochet stitch on your own. But I'm going to go and finish the rest of this parenthesis. And once we've reached the end, we don't need to replace the stitch marker. I am going to get some yarn to wrap around the perimeter of the boot. Okay, I think that was at least almost 3 times. Then to fasten off, we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop all the way out, and then pull on the tail to tighten up that loop. Alright, so from here we're going to attach the boot to the leg. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I've already done the other leg, but I want to make sure that I do this even so that the legs don't look funny. So I'm going to count the rounds of blue that are left here. Okay, then I'm going to take my leg, I'm going to slip it through in the boot. Alright, and then I'm going to make sure that I count off the rows. Okay, so we're going to go in here. And I'm just going to go around the leg. Alright, and then once we're back around, we're going to tie a knot. Then we're going to go back in to the boot, and we're going to go up through the leg. Try not to poke yourself, be very careful. So I'm going to go up through the leg, pull the yarn all the way out. Okay. And then we're going to take the hook and we're going to try stuffing all of this in there. We're going to add it to our stuffing. Because one, I really would hate to waste yarn. And then if this can count as stuffing, then you save on stuffing as well, because you're going to need it to make all the other characters. I highly recommend that you look at some more, I'm going to have to feed the cat, some more stuffing. If you like, in the description box below, I did also pin a store where I got my stuffing from. It's a 32 ounce, so it's a big bag, but it's lasted me all this time to make all these extra characters where I didn't have all the materials. So that's something to think about. But for these kits, you definitely need to get more material because they only give you enough to make the 2 characters. Alright, so here's the boot. And so now we have 2 of these. We can sew these onto the body, which I'm going to do, but let me go and feed this cat first. So take your needle, alright. Then of course this is the pointy side, so we have to make sure we sew this on right. So let's put it on this side. Go through one end of the body, randomly out the other. And then to hide it, we can just squish on the body till that end disappears. So we have the one leg down, one more leg to go. Now we're going to sew on the other side. Okay, tie your knot. Then go through one end, randomly out the other. Careful not to poke yourself. Cut flush to the surface, then squeeze it till the end disappears. And so now we have both legs on our Woody. I guess in the movie his body was floppy, so I guess it works. I just would prefer more stability. It's a little sad. Alright, let's move on to the next. Okay, it looks like we have the belt, buckle, bandana, and vest and front to make. So let's see where we're at right now. For the belt, we're going to use the light brown, and as you can see, I don't have much left. So let's hope that it lasts. Cross the fingers. If not, I think I'm going to have to use the brown that I had. Alright, so we're going to cast on with the slip knot. I've done this already. I am doing it this time with the hook. You can go back to that section to refresh yourself on how to cast on with the slip knot. I do divide this video into sections, so if you go into the description box, you can click on the section that you need. But I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do the chains on this. So go ahead and work those chains. And this is a good way to practice your chains to make them nice and uniform, and it also helps you practice with speed. Alright, so like I mentioned before, we're going to be putting our hook in the second chain from the hook to make the height of a single crochet stitch, and then we're going to be doing single crochet stitches all the way across. So again, if you need that refresher, you can go to that section. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this round. Hopefully I have enough. I have a feeling that I won't. So I'm gonna have to go in. Tie together another, it's different too. It's a different brand, so the thickness and the color's not gonna match. Comment below, let me know if you ran out of light brown. So I forget what color. Oh, we ran out of the brown in the previous videos, and now same thing for the light brown. But it's kind of, they really need to give you enough for, you know, different types of crocheters, because I don't think that I make my stitches too loose, but maybe I make them too loose because I ran out of the yarn. Alright, I'm trying to make this stretch. It's not gonna go. So I'm going to take my own yarn here. And yes, it's going to be different, but, you know, it is what it is. So I'm just going to tie, and this is not ideal either. Maybe there's a way to just twist it all in. Normally I would tie a knot, but a knot you're definitely going to see, and you can't hide it because we're only doing this one row, and then that's it. So I want to try to crochet with this, and it's gonna look so weird the way that I'm doing it because I'm trying to hold two different yarns together, and I don't think it's working out. Oh my gosh, what is this? I need help. It's terrible. Yeah, it's one big ball of struggle. This is harder than tying a knot. Okay. There we go. At least I got the first part. And again, it is going to be different because it's two different brands, and they're supposedly the same size, but I think because the material, I don't know, I thought they're both made of acrylic. Oh well. Okay. Alright. So now we're going to fasten off. So I'm just going to kind of go back and forth this belt maybe 4 times to make sure I have enough to sew with. Okay, and again, the fasten off is in the description box if you need to go to that section for a refresher. But it says we can sew the belt around the waist. Really? Okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was telling me to sew the ends together. Okay, that makes me feel better, actually. So we're going to sew this belt around the waist, and I'm going to get it to where, could this be a little pouch? Possibly. Let me just actually hide it. But so around the front, in the back, so I've only kind of sewn the top. We're going to take a look at it real quick. I don't know if I need to sew the bottom. Yeah, maybe not. But I am going to sew these two ends together because it's kind of sticking out. But then I'm going to tie my knot. Okay. Then we're going to go into one end, randomly out the other. Cut flush to the surface. I'm just going to squeeze this. Alright, so now we've got the belt. So now we're going to do the buckle. I'm going to have to go get my yellow because I ran out of yellow. Alright, so I have some yellow here, and we're going to do an adjustable ring. So if you need a refresher to start this, you can click on that section. Alright, now this isn't going to be a simple single crochet stitch that we've done. So what we're going to do, we're looking at parentheses that we're going to have to do, that we're going to have to repeat. So I've actually never done it like this before, so this is going to be interesting. But we're going to be doing combinations of single crochet stitches, single crochet stitches, double crochet stitches, and single crochet stitches. So go ahead and do that. I've taught you how to do all of those stitches. If you need a refresher, you can click on the description box for the section that you need. And once you've completed that, we're going to close the ring. Now the interesting thing is that it has you invisibly joining to the first stitch, and that's pretty much doing what I've been doing, the slip stitch. So count the number of stitches that you're supposed to have for this round, stick your hook into that last stitch, and we're going to be doing our slip stitch to invisibly join our buckle, and then we're going to fasten off. So I'm going to need some tail. And then we're going to sew on the buckle. Now this we're going to end up hiding. So we can actually try to do that now. Okay, we're going to take Woody, and we're going to find the middle of his belt, stick the needle in one end, randomly come out the other end, okay, then we're going to, well, let's actually cut this flush to the surface. Squeeze it. Right, now we can deal with this tail. Make sure you cut the right tail off. You don't want to cut the one where you're going to use to sew. You you want to cut the excess piece from the adjustable ring. Okay, so we're going to sew this buckle. Okay, and then when we're back around, I don't know where I'm going to tie a knot here. I'm going to just tie a knot here. Once we have that, it'll go in one end, randomly out the other. Okay, so we have our buckle. I just can't. Okay. So now we're going to do the bandana. So I'm going to need to split this. And we're going to be doing a cast on with a slip knot. And then we're going to do our chains. Okay. Now once we have our chains, we're going to be working first with single crochet stitches. So we're going to have to build the height. So second chain from hook, pretty universal for any instruction. And then after that, we'll be working with double crochet stitches, single crochet stitches, slip stitch, and slip stitches. Sorry, it took me a minute to read that. So go ahead and do that. We've done all of that already. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to leave a tail for sewing. And I don't think that needs to be a lot because we are sewing the ends together for this one. Alright. Yikes. Alright, if you accidentally forgot to fasten off, you can remove your hook, put your needle through that loop, and then pull it all the way out. It's the same thing. Alright, so what they want us to do is sew the ends together. So we're going to put this around Woody's neck. And we're pretty much just going to sew the first end to this end, but I think I'm actually going to sew maybe like a couple of stitches in so that I get that little flap. So I'm going to go in here. And then I'm going to tie my knot. Then what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to weave this in and out of the bandana so I can hide the excess piece. And you can weave it in and out as much as you want, and then cut it flush. Give it a little stretch to hide that end. And now we have our bandana. Okay. So now what we have left is the vest and the fronts. So let's go and do that. Alright, so I'm slipping my white on here. What we're going to be doing is casting on with a slip knot again. Okay. So with the vest, we're going to make our chains. Let me drop my scissor. Oops, I did way too many. I lost count there for a second, or got lost in count. Alright. Okay, so once you have your chains, again, we're going to skip to the second chain to make the height of a single crochet stitch, and we'll be doing that all the way across. Alright, so after you do that row, we're going to turn. So to turn, you basically have to just flip this to its back side. So now it's pointing in the left direction. Alright, and now we're going to do row 2. And it's basically single crochet stitches, but we have to build the height of a single crochet stitch. So we're going to do a chain, and that's pretty universal. So now I'm going to continue my single crochet stitches. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the quality of yarn isn't entirely great, so it's so easy to split the yarn. Alright. So after we complete row 2, we're going to do row 3. So we have to turn again. So that's just basically flipping it onto its back side. And then we have to build the chain to make the height of the single crochet stitch. Now for row 3, we're actually going to be doing single crochet stitches, chain stitches, and then single crochet stitches, and then we're going to turn after we do that. So we're not going to complete the row all the way through. So let's go ahead and work on that now. Oops. All right. So after we complete row 3, we're just going to turn, and then we're going to complete rows 4 through 6. So let's just actually mark this. This will stand for 4, 5, 6. All right, and we're going to be doing single crochet stitches. Don't forget to chain 1 for the height, and then we can continue on this row. All right. So I'm going to remove our stitch markers because we're pretty much done with this part. And then we're going to leave a tail for sewing. I'm not exactly sure how the sewing is going to go about, so I'm going to just go around this whole thing generously a couple of times. Pick up my scissor. And then we're going to fasten off. All right, and then we have to do the front. So again, we're going to work with casting on with a slip knot. All right. So go ahead and do your chains. Okay. Then we're going to be putting our hook second chain from hook that we've been doing, and then we're going to do the rest of the single crochet stitches. Okay. Once we've done that, we're going to turn and we're going to do row 2. So make your chain, and then we're going to do single crochet stitches again. Right? Then we're going to turn. We're going to do row 3, so make your height. Then we've got a parenthesis, and inside we actually have something new. So for this parenthesis, we have something new. We have SK, which stands for skip. So we're pretty much going to be skipping stitches in this parenthesis, and then we also have single crochet stitches. So go ahead and do that. Let me actually show you, just in case you're not sure of what that means. So if we have 4 stitches here, we're going to skip the first one and we're going to go into the second one and do our single crochet stitch. All right, let me show you that again. We're going to skip this stitch and go into the next stitch. After you're done with that row, we're going to turn, and this is going to be for rows 4 and 5. So chain 1, and then do your single crochet stitches. Turn, make your height, do your single crochet stitches. Okay, then we're going to do row 6, so turn, build your height, and then we're going to do, we're going to skip some stitches and do a single crochet stitch. So go ahead and do that now. And after that, we're going to fasten off. So again, I'm not too sure how they're going to have us sew this, so I'm going to generously go around the project a couple of times, and then we're going to fasten off. So now for this, they want us to do some cow print. I tried it for the other one. Again, I did my second pair of whatever it is off camera, but this is what I have for the first cow print. It looks horrible, but the idea is to just make some random spots on this thing. And I also recommend that you get some embroidery floss, because we tend to use a lot and sometimes it's not enough for everything. It definitely won't be enough for all of the characters, so I recommend that you get more. Alright, so now I'm going to sew on some sort of cow pattern. So I think it's pretty random. There's not much I can tell you how to do here. I'm just going to sew randomly stripes or something on here. Oops. Right? I'm going to tie this back here. Whoops. Okay. So that's this piece. Let's do this one now. Just gonna find the prettier side if there is one. And I'm gonna gather up hopefully that'll be enough. Alright, so now we just have to do random spots here. I'm going to tie it to where we started. Alright, now we gotta sew this thing together. So I think we're gonna do something along the lines of this. And this is backwards, so we're not looking at the pretty side. Let me see. Alright, so I'm going to take this here. I'm going to thread this up. I'm going to weave myself down to the end, the edge here. Like that. Because I need to sew these two sides together. So let's go do that. And this is outside facing in, or the backward side. I don't know. And then actually, I feel like you didn't need this. Since I'm already here, I'm going to weave back up to the top here, and then I'm going to put a couple of stitches for this side. And then since I'm here, I'm actually going to use this to tie double knot. Let's do the same thing with this other one. Okay. Same thing, let's weave in and out till we are down to the end. I'm going to sew these two together. Okay, then once we're here, I'm going to weave back up. And then I'm going to put these two together and sew it. Okay, go in here on the underside, and I'm going to tie my knot. Let's slip this on first because I want to see if I'm going to need anything to sew onto Woody to make sure it's secure. Because right now all it is a slip-on. Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh my gosh, stop it. Look how cute this is. Sorry. Do we leave it open? Do we leave it closed? That is the question. Guess he has it open. So I guess we won't need this, but here we can kind of perfect any imperfections. I don't like this thing here, so I'm going to sew that in place to this side. And I'll probably need another pass at it. And then I saw something else. This spot down here I think needs a little extra stitch. Okay. Now I'm going to tie my knot. Okay. So let's look at this side. Maybe I can use a stitch here. So we're going to weave in and out of this one. I'm going to sew this together. Okay. And then otherwise I think it's looking alright. Maybe it needs a fix there, but let's tie this one. Alright, last but not least, tie our knot. Yikes. Okay, guys, we are done. Whew, this one was a doozy. So, comment below, let me know how it went. Here's what it's looking like. Comment below, let me know. A little bendy. Alright, you guys, so thank you so much for watching. I guess the next character is going to be Buzz. I am going to go on a business trip next week, so I'll be out. I am not sure if I'm going to have any videos, but I am going to break this up. I do have to throw in some other kits before we get to Buzz. But at least you guys have a glance at what this all looks like. So these are so much fun, and I do like this creator here. So definitely check it out. I have linked this kit in my description box at my Amazon storefront. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. So thank you so much for watching. This is Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.